today have on a very awesome guest, Latisha Barker, and she is a mother of 5 and lives in Connecticut and is a homesteader like me. So I thought it was so awesome to have her come on and share her story of how she connects with nature and with God. And so welcome, Latisha. Thank you for being here.
I love it. Thank you.
Would you like to add anything, share any little more about you to listeners?
Oh, okay. Well, I homeschool my kids. I have a 15-year-old, 8-year-old, 7, 5, 5 and 12-year-old, 4 boys and 1 girl.
Awesome.
And, I write poetry. I love writing. I love nature as well. That's why I'm here. My daughter, she is the oldest. She's the oldest of 4, and then 4 boys after her.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I bet she's a good help.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. She is. She loves to cook, and she definitely is a good help. And she's an artist. She helps me out a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to homestead? Have you been doing it for a while?
I've been doing it it's about 4 years. So we're really new at it. I'm still learning, still growing. It just felt like I don't know. It just felt like my heart was, and it happened to both my husband and I at the same time. We live in the city.
Wow.
Yeah, we live in the city, and I remember I used to just sit by the windows in my home, and I used to just, have this yearning to be in, somewhere where it was surrounded by trees and you can hear the birds more than the cars. And I just had this desire to be a little bit, I don't know where it came from, just to be a little bit closer to, just to have that lifestyle, just to be closer to nature, closer to, the outdoors and living in that way as opposed to the city life. So yeah, and I just happened to it was just a feeling in my heart. And both my husband and I, we had that feeling at the same time. So we used to talk about it. And, it took us a while to get here because when we first moved to Connecticut, we lived in the suburbs and we started our little garden in the suburbs. And as I was living in the suburbs, I still had that yearning. I still had that. I wanted something bigger and I wanted more for my kids. So, we eventually found our way to the farm that we're on now.
That's awesome.
And it just felt, like when we first came, when we first stepped foot on this farm, we just knew. It was just like love at first sight, especially for me. I just knew in my heart, this is where I wanted my family to be. So, yeah.
That's neat. I had the same experience when we moved to the place we're living at now. As I stepped into the home, it was just like the spirit just said, this is it, just that peaceful feeling of a surety. And I think to me, that draw to be out in the country and just in nature, it brings peace, right? And so want that peace and calm in your life. People don't want chaos in their life. And so, that was probably a huge draw for you guys. Just get out of the city
especially when you have so many kids. So like, I just wanted them to have space. I wanted them to have, I wanted to breathe fresh air, and I wanted them to have that freedom and just to play, like where we first lived, in the city, they didn't have anywhere. It was just this concrete driveway. Yeah. And there wasn't any place to play. And then eventually when we moved to the suburbs, there was a little bit more space, but still we yearn for a little bit more. So, that's what I wanted for my kids. I just wanted my kids to have space, and I wanted them to have that, like, I don't know, that freedom
to play, right?
Freedom to play, that peace, and that, just to feel safe and to be secure and just enjoy the space around them.
I think it's very important outside play, like just free play and be out in nature. It really just brings a calm to your life. Just, it's a therapy, right? Natural therapy.
And to see it as a mother, like when I watch my kids play, I just feel so much joy.
Yeah,
I feel so grateful, and you know, it just I can feel it in my soul every time I see them. I just like, yeah, this is what I want from my kids, you know. I want them to grow up like this, you know. So I'm just thankful every day, and every time I see them play, it just brings joy to my heart, you
that's
know.
awesome. That's incredible. Yes, I love that. So what type of things do you have going on your homestead? You have animals, and what are you doing?
Yeah, we have animals. We have the chickens, the layer chickens, and we have goats, and we have ducks, which is really nice to see them swimming on the pond. I enjoy that so much. And we've had different animals come in and out, but right now it's just the chickens and the goats right at the moment. And well, we've tried growing a little bit of everything. Some things more successful than others because we're still
Right.
learning.
Yeah.
We're still learning. My favorite thing to grow is, well, the easiest thing that I've ever grown is the tomato.
Oh,
The
yeah.
tomatoes, yeah, we get a lot of those.
That's awesome.
I love growing cucumbers, but I have the cucumber beetles or challenge.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so after a while you get some cucumbers and then they're attacked.
Yeah.
So I haven't figured out how to conquer that challenge as yet, but and so we grow a little bit of everything.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
And every season, every year, it's different because the weather changes a little bit. So you kind of have to
yes,
adjust too. I mean, some year
yes,
I'll have something grow, the next year it doesn't grow. And I did the same,
yes.
so it just, yeah.
Yes, definitely. Like definitely, some years are better than others, and that's something I'm learning as well because as I said, we've only been doing it for a few short years, so you get to know, how you realize that there's a difference with each season,
Yes.
each yeah. So I guess I get to learn a lot about that. Like I also noticed that, with even with the critters and stuff, that the challenges that we have with, like the bugs and different things, different seasons produce different kind of challenges,
Mhm.
So I'm definitely learning about a lot more about that. Yeah.
And I think that goes with all parts of life, just like there's
Yes.
different seasons of things, just like you guys had a season in the city and then the suburb, and now you're in the farm. So it's all the
Yes.
seasons. You just learn as you go, right? So it's just,
Yes. Yes. And like draw so much lessons for everyday life from gardening. Like I was thinking about yesterday, I was thinking about something that I did, and I was watching it as I was going, okay, like I posted something on Instagram, and I was watching it, and I wanted to see every like, and I wanted to see, the response that came to it. And I thought to myself, when you plant a seed, do you sit down and you watch it grow? You can't, like
it takes
we don't
time,
sit
right?
and we watch the seed grow,
Right.
So when I am putting something out there, like I'm writing something and I put it out there, I can't sit down here and just watch for every response. I just have to leave it there and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me, I like I said, I draw a lot of lessons from, my gardening and from what we do here at the farm for, to real life. You know?
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, they all connect somehow. They all teach lessons, right?
Yes,
That's awesome. So
yes.
I have to ask your accent. You are from where originally?
Barbados.
Barbados. Okay.
Yeah, we've been here for 16 years. And most of my, no, not much of my family is still there. I actually lost my dad in 2021.
Oh, I'm
I lost him in April, and he was the closest thing that I had to family that was still there, but his wife and my sister is there. Two of my sisters are there, but not much of my family is still in Barbados.
so
They
you,
moved away in different places.
yeah. So you have been married for 16 years, you told me. And so did you meet your husband there or here in the United
Yes,
States?
yes, I met him there.
Okay.
I met him. He was a police officer. He was in the Royal Barbados Police Force. He
Okay.
was actually a musician. So he was in the police band, and
Oh,
I
wow.
met him. Yeah, and I met him like one time I was doing poetry. I was a part of an organization, and we did poetry performances. And I was doing poetry, and the police band was going on the stage after me. So, that's how I met him. I had a crush. I had a crush, and it was kind of it was it was funny because like where he was sitting, this ties into nature, so I'm going to tell the story. Where
Okay,
he was
great.
sitting, we were on the beach. It was a performance on the beach.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, it was really cool. So where he was sitting, the sun was going down, and it was so cool. I was crushing on this guy while he was playing his instrument, and the sun is going down behind him. The sun is setting behind him, and it was so, I would never forget. It was so magical.
Right.
So yeah, that's
Something in the movies, right?
exactly. And and it's just it. I realize now that all my life I was kind of like I was connected to my surroundings, and like that for me feels like a spiritual sign,
Yeah.
that there's something about this guy, and when we talk, I felt like I heard this voice in my head saying, "This is the guy I'm gonna marry." It was really cool,
Wow.
and it turned out to be true. We had a journey, but it turned out to be true. We got married, so the more that I've experienced life, the more I've learned to trust that voice, trust that spiritual,
Yeah.
guidance,
Yeah.
And so we've had a good marriage, so I have no regrets.
That's good. That's good. And that's awesome. You guys share a talent of, you do poetry, he does music. So this creative side.
I thought that was cool. I
Yeah.
did think that was cool when we got together. That was cool. We still haven't done a how to say collaboration yet. Maybe one of
Oh,
these
yeah.
days. It's still a dream, but that was one of my thoughts early on, that we would do a collaboration. Maybe
Oh,
one of these days. Well, we
does he
had
play an instrument? What does he play?
he plays the saxophone.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can put music to your poetry.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I really am. I hope we can do that someday.
That's neat.
But
So what got you in?
we had children, so they kept us busy.
Yeah. You still do it, right? You do your poetry. So what got you into poetry? Just kind of when you were younger, or?
I think, it just came natural. It was always that kind of person, a very introspective person. Like I said, I think a lot, and and I draw lessons and observations from things that are happening in my life, or things that are happening around me. And when I first started poetry, it was actually just writing, poems about crushes that I had. But I eventually evolved into writing about my life and everything, and what I'm feeling and what I'm going through, and just my observations of life, and I've written a lot of poems in my lifetime.
That's neat. Have you put them together in a book or anything?
Yes, I have self-published a few books.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, they're actually on Amazon. I don't really promote them, but
Okay.
yeah, because they're old and you know
They wanna-
evolved.
they
But
could touch
they're
somebody.
there. Yeah, they're there. So I do share about them sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of my work. So I do have poetry books on Amazon. One of them, like one is called Spiritual Essence. That is like inspirational poetry. The other is called Discovering Me, which I wrote poems from when I was in my 20s, and just the journey of being in your 20s and discovering who you are. And and then my first poetry book was called Words of a Poetry Art, which is a word I made up. Poetry art. So that poem, that word was like, to me, it meant staying true to your poetic, your form, your skills, like saying not trying to be like anybody else, but being yourself as an artist or as a poet. So it was kind of like a combination of patriot and poetry and poet. And so just put the two together.
That's neat. That's incredible. I love that. I think our creative side is part of nature because that's us, and we are natural, like we are part of nature too. We know we are created from the dust of the earth, as it says.
Yes.
And so it's just expressing ourselves just as we go out in nature and as we do our art or different avenues of creativity. I think it brings us closer to God and our who we really are, like you're saying, just our true selves. And I love that.
I love to see other people and their creativity. I guess so. That's one of my favorite things. I get so excited, in any way that people they cook and they're creative. They're cooking, creative, just creating things. So, yeah, it's my favorite thing. I love to see. I just love seeing people's creative sides and people being themselves, and showing us what they got.
Yeah. You seem like an amazing person, just a very supportive person of those around you too, just in the things that you're saying. And you mentioned about your daughter cooking. Does she love to cook then?
Oh yes. She got that from her dad.
Oh yeah. Which is good for you. They can cook for you.
Yeah. I mean, when we first started, I used to try to help out a little bit. He's a cook. He's a family cook. So I would help out a little bit. Now I don't have to help at all. That is their area. I mean, I can cook. It's just that, I prefer to do other things. Yeah. So I do it when the mood hits me, when I want to try something, but not as often as they used to before, because that's their thing. And she kind of even took over from him.
That's great. We all have our different talents, so we all help each other, right? So they do one part and you're doing your other stuff. So it all works out.
Yeah, I do the other things, and they take over, they do the kitchen.
Yeah. And I think for farm life, just having a homestead, I think that teaches that a lot too. It's just being outside, you have your different responsibilities, you help each other. It's a great lessons there too.
Yeah, and that's why I said I love it for my kids, and this is definitely how I want my kids to grow up. We learn to work together, and we learn to look outside ourselves, and to care for other living things, and just see how things grow, how they're created and how they grow, and it's just awesome. I just love it for my children.
Yeah, I think it's so needed nowadays. It seems like to get outside of ourselves and not be so focused on ourselves. And you seem like a very good example of that.
I am one of my because one of the things that I struggle with, in my teens and young adulthood, I struggled with anxiety, and I realized that when I came out, when I started to move to the suburbs, it started to subside slowly but surely. And then when I moved to the farm, I overcame that, because I had like major anxiety, like even just crossing the street or, walking the street in the city and everything. It just, I couldn't do it. I would feel like lightheaded and dizzy and these things. And, so I have changed and grown so much. And I believe that a lot of it is to do with the change of the environment, and having that peace. And one of my favorite things to do is to just go outside, especially when the weather is nice, just to go outside and enjoy, breathe in that fresh air and hear those birds or see the wind blowing through the trees. And it just brings a calm and a peace. And, it has helped me a lot in dealing with my anxiety and dealing with that aspect of my life. So I'm grateful. I'm so glad that my life has brought me here.
Yeah.
Led me here.
Thank you for sharing that. So do you have any other tips for people to get out in nature or to inspire them to just connect with nature?
So one of the things that I would say is that it doesn't matter where you live, because I you know, kind of like the sunflower, when you just like you draw to the sun, you know, you draw your attention to the sun. You know, I find it you could find it, you know, like if you live in the city, you know, find the park or, you know, the tree outside your home or, you know, whatever. You just like it doesn't matter where you live, you know, there is nature to be found. You just sometimes you have to go and find it. It's not always in your backyard, but you have to go and find it. Like when we lived in the city, you know, there was this spot that we found where a little pond area, you know, it's in the park that, you know, we would walk to. It was a really long walk. I didn't enjoy that at all. But, you know, when I got there, you know, you feed the ducks and just sit there and so it doesn't matter where I lived, I always found that nature somewhere, you know, you always, you know, find that spot.
Yeah.
So even in my home, my when I lived in the city, the closest to nature I would be is in that window. And I would always find one of those windows. I would always have a window that I would just be looking out through the window and just sitting there and just like finding out a little bit of whatever, you know, the tree that you could look at or the birds in the tree or, you know, and that moment.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, just that little bit of nature where, you can find it. You just have to sometimes look for it a little harder, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, I remember we had this little bathroom and it had a little window. And there was just these moments before everybody came up, you know, before it got loud, those quiet moments in the morning. And I remember sometimes just like standing by that little teeny bathroom window and hearing the birds that was hanging out, you know, outside. But outside by the window, and just taking that in, you know, and that is why I started to feel that calling of I want more of this. I want this to be you know, I want more of this than the traffic. You know, I don't want to have to search so hard for it. I want it to be my life. You know, I want it to be bigger for me. You know, but it is possible to find it wherever you are.
Yeah.
You know, that would be my recommendation is just find it.
Yeah. I love how the bird spoke to you, like in a way, you know, just like receive more of this, and you follow that call of just finding where it was and moving your family and taking that leap of faith, right? Just do it.
And I wrote 2 poems, you know, inspired by these birds too.
That's awesome. You know? I love that.
Yeah, so that they really did. They really did. And, you know, not only the birds, but the trees too. I remember I could see, I didn't have a tree. I don't think our yard had a tree because we had a concrete driveway. And I remember seeing my neighbor's tree, and I remember envisioning in my mind just sitting under that tree. I was like, you know, if I had that tree, that tree was in my yard, I would sit under that tree, you know, maybe like write something or, you know, do something, you know. So I really did have that yearning for a long time. It took us a while to get here, and I'm so thankful that we're here.
Yeah.
You know, but I had that yearning for a while before we got here.
And now you have a lot of trees you can sit under, right?
Yes. And I love it.
And so there's so many things. We talk for a long time.
It's true.
Yeah. So I love, and I really want to share links of your poetry too. I feel like that would touch people. And so we'll get those for you. But where can people find you to connect with you?
Okay, well, I have a blog. It's called tishera.com, and that's TISHERA, Tishera, as in Latisha's era. So tishera.com, and I'm also on Instagram. I have a farm account on Instagram called Faith Farms Farm, at Faith Farms Farm, and my personal account where I just share my life is Latisha's Farm Life, at Latisha's Farm Life on Instagram. And those are where I'm mostly very active.
Awesome. And I'll leave the links in the show notes too, so people can easily find those. And appreciate you being with us. And I'm excited to continue to follow on your journey. And it's amazing how you're just so insightful, and just taking those steps and finding that peace in your life. So you changed your environment to do so. And then now you're blessing your children's lives and your whole family's lives and others, and through your poetry, and someday the collaboration with your husband with his music,
I'm looking
right?
forward to that.